Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris, a podcast created to provide hints, tips, and tricks for those entering the workforce, or maybe those that are already there, to support their career journeys and help position them to reach those career goals by learning from those that have lived it, both the good and the bad. Today, I'm joined by Colton Sunseri, who is currently in the supply chain industry as a supply chain professional. So, Colton, thanks for joining today to talk about your career journey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we'll just jump right in. So, at this stage of your career, it's always interesting to hear how people got to where they are now. Can you just give a quick little synopsis of how you have progressed throughout your career and how you arrived in your current role?
Yeah, no problem. So, back in 2008 till 2012 is when I attended West Liberty. Whenever I attended West Liberty, I was a math education professor at the beginning. And someone told me, go ahead and use your numbers background and your love for numbers. Go do business and have fun with it. Then go back and teach what you did in business. So, whenever I first started at West Liberty, teacher, but economics, finance, and banking was my forte. So whenever I first came out of college, I thought I was going to be a broker, trading stocks. But I found out right off the beginning that summer, I didn't exactly enjoy selling as you would as a investment bankers and stuff like that. So I started my career as a accounts payable analyst for Console. They're located in Washington, PA, and I did that for 3 years. It was an okay job, but anyone that knows me, I like to use my brain. I like to explore. I like to see problems, stuff like that. So whenever the 3 years was not coming to the end, but start getting a little stale, my current wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, her father owned a Pepper Ridge farm route business, and he said, you can make a good bit of money, but you can be your own business. So what happened was in 2016, I left my job as an accounts payable analyst, and I bought a distribution route with Snyder's Lance. So if you guys know the Cape Cod chips and Snyder pretzels, the pieces, Lance crackers, Archway cookies. So there's a big old portfolio of items I sold. Bought that business, not knowing what I was doing, meaning I knew how to obviously put this items on on the shelving and talk to managers, but I didn't know anything about inventory. I didn't know anything about velocity. Those terms are supply chain type of terms, turnover rate. So whenever I first started in 2016, I hit the ground running. My first week or two, my store manager was, Colton, you got hold. What are you doing? So I immediately brought my education from West Liberty to the route, meaning none of the I don't know if you ever seen any chip folks talk about Excel and stuff like that when you're out in the store. So whenever my business started booming, I guess you can say, is when I start bringing analytics to the business. I was showing my store managers, hey, these pretzels are really moving quick. Can I get a second display? The entrepreneurship started coming out of me as I took a class in West Liberty from it. So in 2016, I bought that route for 80,000. Within a year and a half, I flipped it, meaning I just, as you can flip a house, I flipped that business. I sold it for 150,000. So I doubled the gross profits. All and basically, it was the business core that West Liberty. You gotta understand what's moving. You gotta understand your sales. You gotta understand your accounting, meaning what's it costing you. So everything that I took from West Liberty, I started doing more as a business owner than what I was doing as a accounts payable analyst.
Wow.
The account payable analyst was really just paying bills, making sure the system, everything was correct. But because of Snyder's Lance, I was selling, I was moving product, everything was me. The business ownership really, what do you call it, took over. I sold that business. I thought I was going to join the military. Unfortunately, that Air Force doctor, she told me I have a back injury, and at the time I had 4 years on the surgery, but she said I needed one more year.
Yeah.
And so after that, I had to hurry up and figure out what I was going to do. I got signed on as a billing analyst with Gutman Oil. There, if you guys see the Get Go trucks around Pittsburgh or Wheeling area, that was what I did. I did the trading analyst, and if you the accounts payable job with Fairmont, it was kind of the same thing. It was, even though I excelled at it, I wasn't using my brain. I connected with a headhunter. The headhunter told me, "Hey, let me get you some other finance jobs." And the headhunter found me my not my dream job, but what really kicked off my career. Even though I said the Sanders Lance in 2016 started my career, I connected with a company called Crown Castle,
Okay.
and I started as a project coordinator. But because of me able to ask questions to my managers and stuff like that, I went from project coordinator from 6 months to a supply chain analyst, where I was handling all the company's master data. And for me, I wasn't a data person at the time. I briefly mentioned finance, economics, and banking, and you're wondering how can that translate to data or even stuff like that. For me, the rate of return, everything, the what are you getting out of it? So data, I had to take a crash course as far as data governance, data ethics, data. So whenever that happened in 2019, the summer 2019, it was a crash course. So I was with Crown Castle as a supply chain analyst until 20. I jumped to a company called Trulieve. They're a cannabis company. They are a major corporation in the United States. They're in 9 different states as far as wherever cannabis is legal, as far as medical or recreational. And I was a demand planner as soon as I got on, but because of my background as far as moving product, knowing data, knowing this and that, within 3 months they made me a allocation planner. So I went from demand planning to allocation planning, and overall the experience was good. But you will learn if the company's fit for you or not, depending on how they do business. Fortunately, I wasn't Turleaf, and we didn't get along,
Yeah.
and so I went back to Crown Castle because I really enjoyed the atmosphere, the culture, and stuff like that. So I was with Crown Castle till June of 2024, and unfortunately, I got laid off, and it was my first time experiencing laid off. I'd never been fired, never been let go. And I tell everyone this, and I got the same advice the first couple of days: go ahead, cry, be sad about it, but you got to pick yourself up. And after day 3, I started my own business, and my own business was the chips that I talked about during in 2016 to 2018, because I knew Excel, I knew how to move, product and stuff like that. And with the data analytics that I gained from Crown Castle and Trulieve, I set up my own business where I was telling IBOs that are brand new, just like I was, how to do their own business, what to put on their truck, how to talk to store managers. I help them with their insurance, how to map out their logistics, stuff like that. So I've been doing that for about a year and a half. And after 6 months of doing that and applying for jobs, I got hired at Wesco as a pricing analyst. Been doing that for the last 6 months. Been loving it. So even though, like, at the beginning, I said I wasn't a accounts payable analyst, I kept finding as far as what my passion was, and that would be supply chain. And I've been doing it ever since 2019, and been loving it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That shows that progression of those interests and then finding some of those passions, and you circled back to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a straight line, and
No.
it's the reality for most people. They find the passion and they have to circle back to actually find the opportunity that aligns with those interests and with those skills. So it's a great
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. Everything circled back, like the education that I received at West Liberty, and because I took an entrepreneurship course at West Liberty, and at the time we just started the investment club
Mhm.
at West Liberty, so I had ownership as far as or knew what ownership was and just how to apply that. And my biggest thing was whenever I had the Snyder's Lance business, our professors always said that, like, there's always more. Like, you have to find, as far as what can you do more with the business. So even though I mentioned 2016, I had that Cyrus Lance business. I also started another business, a mascot business, where I would dress up as a Ninja Turtle, Mickey Mouse, or something like that. And you're wondering, like, how does this revolve around chips and stuff like that? So a lot of times, if I were to sell a pallet of crackers or a pallet of chips, be like, do you want the Ninja Turtle with it? Because if you don't, I'm gonna go across that street. I'm
Right.
gonna go to that store, and they're gonna have that Ninja Turtle or that Mickey Mouse, where they're gonna advertise the crackers. And like, the stipulation was, if that store got my Mickey Mouse, Ninja Turtle, whatever, they wasn't paying for the turtle, which was fine by me, but that turtle would be there handing out cards or something like the advertising, so people would be able to get the birthday experience or whatever with that. But I also became a very, very I don't know the correct term, but I started doing a lot of charity work because of the mascot business. So I help out with St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and a lot of people are like, Colton, why do you dress up as a Ninja Turtle? And as you just smiled, Chris, it brightens people's up
Yep.
with everything going on. You don't know what someone's going through, and if I can make someone laugh, smile, or whatever for a minute, or distract them, that's what the Ninja Turtle or the mascot business does. So yeah, you like, my thing is, you constantly have to be, I guess, on your feet, or just thinking of ways, not making money, but how can I progress my career, or what's the thing to get it going. So
Yeah, and that demonstrates really well, like, that Ninja Turtle and that mascot was really trying to add value to your current business model,
yeah,
and then it turned into something totally different in the end of, like, how you can apply that and be of value to a whole group of people that you didn't intend.
great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I just won a radio contest. I won tickets to a Penguins game, and I had tons of kids coming up, and the Penguins staff and the radios is like, you can do a lot of good things with St. Jude's and Children's Hospital. And I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and do that. And one day I'm like, let me see if my store manager would actually take a Ninja Turtle or the Easter Bunny or something like that to
Mhm.
help with sales, and boom, it caught on fire.
That's awesome. So
Mhm.
you have a lot of this entrepreneurial spirit, and obviously you've had a couple different businesses, personal businesses, and built them up. Is that something that you had from, a young age, or is it something that you developed over time? And what kind of inspired that passion to figure out your own solutions to problems that you saw in the real world?
So for me, it's something I develop over time. Because for me, I tell everyone, even though I'm 36 now, I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to be a boss. I don't want to be owner of it. Just because um, I did this to Professor Blackwell all the time and Professor Ulrich and Katma. I would ask them questions and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, you're teaching now, but what did you do as for a career? And stuff like that. So they would always tell me, be an owner, make it your own, and I've always been doing that. So the entrepreneurship is just, how can I, feed myself, but feed my family, but also the mascot business I was talking about, or the chips. I had a couple employees that would work for me. So how can I make them grow as well, or how can I shape them as far as their growth? So the entrepreneurship, something I didn't know I had until I started really understanding business and how my business can affect others and help them as help.
Yeah, that's awesome. So right now you're a supply chain professional, and I feel like everyone knows that supply chain management, it's crucial to everything. So
Mhm.
if you had to explain it simply to people that don't understand the value and what the day to day looks like for somebody in these types of roles, how would you explain that?
So the value is very simple. So like the Amazon. So what you order at Amazon each and every day, you'd be surprised of just how that product goes from the warehouse to the truck to your front steps. And like, for me, that's what I love about supply chain. We don't have, like, every day it's something new as far as problems or issues, or maybe not the problem, but the transportation that we have, or the buying we have, it can be improved. So for me, um, the supply chain professional, it is every day, um, you have to find a way to get better. As we know, back in 2020, we had tons of supply chain
Yeah.
issues and stuff like that, and I kept asking my boss at the time in 2021, 2022, will supply chain ever be the same? And he said no, because supply chain is now at the core front of everything as far as what we do. It is, one of the reasons why inflation has gone up is because our supply chain at the time, we didn't know, was lacking. But now supply chain processes are getting better as far as day to day. But yeah, the supply chain professional, I had no idea I was going to get in this type of environment. But it is a fun one to get into, because supply chain, it goes from so many hands. Like, one, you could be just handling the suppliers as far as your day to day, or two, you can be handling the contract management of
Yeah.
as far as the services, materials that you're buying, or three, or could be warehousing. Like supply chain, it touches every little bit of everything that you don't even realize.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, crucial and integral, and you don't know you need it until it's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like many things. We were chatting a little bit before we started. One of the kind of the questions that I share to get you to reflect and prepare is, what's one thing that you believe college didn't prepare you for that you experienced once you entered the workforce? So, could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna do two things. Even though you said one thing, I'm gonna do two things. So one is I guess the diversity or different generations of people you will work with. Whenever I first started working in the I guess the field in 2013, it wasn't like, for me, I just worked with anybody. As far as the ages, but like the more I progressed in my career, you can kind of tell the different generations of folks you work with, and that's one thing college didn't prepare me for. But I also don't think it's West Liberty's fault because of just how the classes are. But yeah, the different generations or different backgrounds. West Liberty has diverse background of students and stuff like that. But I currently work in Pittsburgh, and the amount of different ethics or different ages I didn't know I was going to work with and stuff like that. Then my second thing, college didn't prepare me for, but I don't think it's West Liberty's fault or anything. It's the amount of data I handle day to day. Even though, I mentioned I handle the company's master data, over 50,000 item masters, and just knowing what all that. My current role, I don't do that now, but I still handle the data where I don't think West Liberty could have taught me, because data could be anything. And like whenever I'm sent data, my first thing is it clean? Like to everyone, like, what is clean data? Clean data is whenever it comes over, there's no errors. There's The categories are all the same. They're spelled the same. There's no spaces in between letters. So everything is, 99% clean or 100% clean. So like, you know, um, a lot of our tests at West Liberty was on paper. We would write it down and stuff like that. So work life experience, I barely write anything down on paper. It's all Excel spreadsheets, or now it's Power BI. Power BI wasn't a thing back in 2012 or 2013. I don't know if it was, but it's some I taught myself. Yeah, West Liberty gave us a good background, but because of the amount of data I handle the day to day, I had to teach myself Excel, and after that I had to teach myself Power BI. Then eventually I taught myself SQL and Python. I don't know if Python was a thing back in 2012 or 2010, but for me, I don't know if I would have taken those classes or not, because I was finance and wanting to see what investments or stocks were. But yeah, the data analytics or data governance is something I don't think anyone could have prepared me for, or West Liberty, because of how things are. But yeah, first thing was the different ages or different generations of people, and the second one was just data analytics.
Yeah. And that's been a growing field, like data analytics, right? That's, I would say, since that early 2010s, right? We've seen the proliferation of programs like in cross colleges where it's like, okay, this is an area we need to prop up and even create programs and majors out of it. I will share that now all College of Business students at West Liberty have to take a course to learn Excel, right? At
Awesome.
least to be basically proficient and understand the value of using spreadsheets and other types of sheet programs.
Yeah, yeah. I like yeah, because my interest in teaching and stuff like that. Whenever we get a new person on our team, if it would be Crown Castle, Trulies, or now Wesco, my managers will immediately send them to me because I will teach them. If their Excel isn't up to par with ours, I will immediately start teaching them Excel. So within a month, whatever spreadsheets I send them, they can work my spreadsheets because a lot of times the Excel, especially with data, the reason why you create it is build tools to help you clean that data, to standardize that data, or just to give you a better picture of the
Mhm.
data you're looking at with charts or graphs.
Right. Yeah, it's right. It's one thing to just have clean data and have the information, but being able to create data visualization, right? That's the takeaway for what you do when you go pitch, right? A VP or somebody on an initiative.
Yeah, so a visual I can give to you is a Power BI I created with fish. So and I was trying to tell my managers, or not managers, but my buyers and stuff like that. The bigger the fish, the more I guess spend we have. And I had four other fish that were bones and stuff like that. And I was trying to tell everyone we shouldn't put eggs all in our basket. That's kind of like portfolio. We shouldn't invest all our money into one or two stocks. We should spread it out because what if? Because we experienced this in 2020. What if that manufacturer or whatever goes out of business or there's just stop too many orders? So I created a visualization of fish for our fiber to show that we are spending way too much money or allocating way too much of our business with one supplier, and I convinced the business to start spreading the business to other manufacturers because it would help our supply chain out with different lead times, better quality, and stuff like that. And another visual I had was our company was spending way too much money on a certain product. So I only created one slide. It was with a quarter or $5 on it. And right there, that visual spoke because I asked, would you rather spend a quarter or $5 for the same product? And basically, it's like, would you want supply chain to handle it? Meaning, what you're buying is a quarter, or would you want someone else to handle it, non-supply chain? It would be $5. So right there, you can see what type of what do you call it? What supply chain can bring to you value. Just if that same type of product is a quarter, why? Because there's tons of ways we can get that cost, that price down for you, different metrics or different solutions.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think a lot of what you're saying demonstrates the value of being willing and open to that lifelong learning, right?
Hmm.
There's all of these skills and all these programs and all these things you've taught yourself or gone out of your way to take a class, right? I mean, I think that's something that I will say for me, I didn't truly understand the value until I was maybe a few years into the workforce and I was like, okay, now I have to relearn or learn new things. So for you, I think you learned that pretty early on in your career because of some of
Yeah.
those career changes. But what would be some advice you would offer to be graduates or people that are just trying to find some of those next steps as far as where they can pursue or maybe think about areas to find as far as increasing that skill set, building that skill set, or looking for learning opportunities?
So for me, I always tell people don't ever stop dreaming. Don't ever. It sounds weird, but like a lot of little kids, they look up to athletes, and why do they look up to athletes? Because they're dreaming, they're dreaming big and stuff like that. So for me, uh, I forgot what movie I saw it and stuff like that. And I kind of look at myself as a professional athlete in the sense of I want to do this for the next 20 to 25 years. And what do professional athletes do? They always try to get better
Yeah.
as far as they're working on their crafts. Like for me, my biggest role model was Kobe Bryant. So for me, I started looking at Kobe Bryant as far as what he did in 2017, 2018, as far as his career. And he's always in the gym as far as working on his skills in basketball. And he developed the Mamba mentality. So I adopted that myself. So for me, I knew I was struggling with Excel. I was struggling with data, supply chain terminology, and stuff like that. See, I told myself, so for the next 20 years, I'm going to start working my butt off. Whatever I learned in at West Liberty, it set the foundation, but I need to start, quote unquote, on my jumper or working on my dribble because, I'm going against competition, and the competition, they're not beating me, but I know I can outplay the competition. That's the reason, like, as far as Excel, I quickly taught myself Excel because I want to prove to my, coworkers and stuff like that, I could handle the data. And like as soon as I taught myself Excel, my work started becoming easier. So for me, that little bit of effort, I start seeing my my return on investment. As I've learned Excel, I start learning Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a methodology that we use in supply chain to help get lean. Another is Lean Six Sigma is another thing I learned as far as supply chain methodology. And like for me, like the mama mentalities always get better each and every day. Each if you do it each and every day after a 20-year career, you might have something beautiful. That you created. So for me, it sounds weird. I'm only going to do supply chain for the next 20 to 25 years. And I plan on having a second career when it's all said and done. So for the 20 years, yeah, I do make sure I stay up on my Excel, my Power BI, SQL and Python. I didn't need to learn, but because I handled various amounts of data and like I didn't want and like I don't mind hitting someone up or like help me with a data set, but I wanted to learn how to write my own code and how to speed up processes because like if I could teach myself Excel and like push out these spreadsheets or tools on people, like the return on investment is so quick that like you couldn't help but like start learning more and more and more. So because of that, I started looking into like what else can I do. So you mentioned the Excel and the Power BI, or I did. I did get my MBA through West Liberty, and for me, I don't want I want to see what else I can do. So in 2014, I started going after my another master's. It's going to be a blended. But I started taking courses at MIT. Why MIT? I Googled top supply chain colleges programs. MIT was the first one, and so I was like, if I can get through MIT, whatever as far as my profession I could do. And so I've taken about three courses with MIT, and they are very daunting. It is very challenging. What I learned, I'm already applying to my everyday job. People are like, "Wow, we did not think of this. How did you do this?" I'm like, "Well, I learned this through MIT. We did a couple studies and a couple problems, and I'm just basically bringing over what I learned into my everyday life." So as soon as people will learn one skill, it just becomes the itch. You want to learn this, you want to learn this, you want to learn this.
Yeah.
So I always tell folks like always dream, always keep dreaming. For some reason, we stop dreaming once we become a little bit older, but try to dig down your little kid self where you were dreaming to become this and that. Get him back out so you can keep dreaming because them dreams they make you go. They make you get up each and every morning. They want you to do more. So
Yeah.
for me, I just can't help it. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it demonstrates that in the example of like that mama mentality, right? There's the clip if we're thinking about it, right? How does supply chain management relate to the mamba mentality? Period.
yeah, yeah, and Kobe's quote is at the middle, not at the or rest at the end, not in the middle. So like if you're doing the work now, it's gonna be tough, but like that 3-pointer that you can sink, it can be a lot better. Or a quote I heard or a story I heard is this artist was painting a picture, and this customer came up and like, "Hey, can you paint this for me?" And bam, within 30 seconds, he painted, and the person was like, "Wow, you did that really quick." And the artist said, "It only took me 30 years to learn how to do that really quick." So you really got to build up them skills because if you don't, you're gonna be missing out
Yeah.
as far as what you can do.
Yeah, and the fact that you work with a lot of data and you use data efficiently, effectively to improve processes or, to find new ways to address a problem. We're living right now through how will AI transform the work that we do. So the fact that you use a lot of data, I'm sure that there are applications that you're using or exploring how to use now. So what are some ways that you're using some of those tools, and what do you see in the next, I don't know, it's tough to say, 3 to 5 years, and how it will continue to support the work that you do?
So as far as tools, are you talking about automation or are you talking about AI? So automation,
I'm
on
talking more about AI, right?
AI,
Uses of AI in the business world.
so AI, supply chain, you see a whole lot of it. So I always ask people, how would you feel if you're driving in Texas? You know, they have 8, 10 lanes, but you see an 18-wheeler just go on by, but it's manless. It's happening now.
Mhm.
AI is driving that truck from Dallas to Houston. There's nobody inside the truck. Or, as I mentioned, how does that product from the warehouse go to the truck to the store or your home? So those pickers in the warehouse, they can actually be AI. They can actually, Amazon has a great automation as far as their pickers. So as far as AI, how is it helping me or helping others? So for me, I think AI is going to make our speed, automation, our supply chain very much quicker as far as what we're seeing now. That Amazon, that 2, 3 day delivery, I still see it keeping staying afloat, but AI, it is going to make our jobs a lot easier. It's going to make it a lot quicker. It's going to help the people that are making decisions, help them decide. People are afraid that their jobs are going to be taken. Yes and no. I think the everyday tasks, as far as repetitive, some of the entry levels will be taken because it's kind of repetitive. The account payable job that I talked about earlier, we're able to scan invoices and automatically we call it, put it to the right supplier, to the right manufacturer beforehand. That was all entry level data. You know, you scanned the invoice, you looked at the manufacturer, typed it in, etc. Now AI is scanning that invoice, it's picking out the words and it's shooting over. So it you like everyone is saying like it could take our jobs, but it is just gonna help us make more better decisions. AI, you can kind of see it right now McDonald's right now with the screens. The
Yep.
screens, people are like, wow, it's taking the cashier element out of the way. Yes and no. So with with that screen, we're finding out, not me, but the data is showing people are actually ordering more food. And then with the cashier, because the social anxiety of maybe actually, that extra McDouble or that burger, people can now do it. So that you're ordering extra food, so that causes the extra person behind the store, the storefront, to make that burger or to walk you the food out to you. So right now, AI, like people are worried that it will take jobs. It will just make things more automatic, more quicker. People are worried about the errors that AI uh, will cause. So unfortunately, you will have bugs and glitches. I see it each and every day. Like one of the tools I do is just to help me pull inventory each and every day. And then you're like, why do you need help? So for me, as soon as a contract expires and stuff like that, I can go ahead and pull the data and stuff like that. But for me, I rather it be sent to me as soon as that contract expires, because
Mhm.
it could take me 20, 30 minutes to pull that data and stuff like that. But now with the automation, first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock when I sign on, that report's already given to me. It's already in a format that I would want to see it, or my boss would want to see it. Um, and like before that all gets created, we actually have to set it up and we test it over and over again to make sure the bugs and stuff like that. But AI, it is coming. It is going to make it quicker. The only thing I say is going to be challenging is for the younger crowd, the younger ages, because I'm sure you can attest to it. Back in 2008, 2009, whenever we needed an answer, we just hurry up and Google it.
Yep.
It gave us the answer, but like we still needed to figure out, is that the answer,
Mhm.
etc. But now with ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Copilot, it will give you the answer, but because of where it's pulling that data from, etc., you can't always trust what AI is giving you. So you will still need the experts to review what AI is pushing out. And that's where the younger crowd will kind of suffer, kind of lack. They will maybe blindly trust what AI is telling them and go ahead and send it, and without, I guess, proofreading it, because if you send it to your teacher without doing anything, teacher can easily tell if AI written it or not. So the younger crowd, but the thing is though, what's I'm sure our parents can attest to it. They wasn't brought up on a computer. We was brought up on a computer, and we can do great things with the computer. So for me, okay with I'm gonna be okay with AI or kind of bad. My kids might be like me. They might be really great with AI as I suffer. So AI is it's on everyone's mind, but for me as a supply chain professional, I'm excited just because it helps you get your product out sooner, or maybe there's a cancer treatment or cancer research where some of our testing that they do, they're now able just to test through automation, or not automation, but a cloud development services, see what happens. Before, they couldn't. But AI, it is very much interesting, but I don't think it is going to be the doom and gloom as far as what we're seeing. So
Yeah, and that's interesting. You make that Google kind of reference in trying to correlate what we're maybe experiencing now based on maybe some things that we experienced at that time in the classroom. I talk about when Wikipedia was first a thing, and we're talking about research. It
yeah,
was don't use Wikipedia, right? You never know what's going to be there, but right then at the bottom of a Wikipedia page, there's a references and a sources list. And I said, you all are experiencing exactly what I experienced, just in a different way, right? The information was there, but we had to dig a little bit deeper to make sure it was reliable. When you're prompting ChatGPT, Copilot, or whatever, right? It's giving you some sources to check on to see if it's reliable. So you were experiencing the same thing, just in a different way with a new tool.
and like some people don't realize you actually, because I had a professional Chat GPT account for myself, and I do use it for the IBO trucking business I was talking about.
Hmm.
And for me, like, you always have to check the resources as far as what's pulling, because understanding the code as far as ChatGPT or Copilot, sometimes they could be pulling resources from Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit's not a good standard, but like, yeah, the the chat GPT thing, is good and bad. And like another thing, you actually got to coach up your chat GPT as far as how you want it to work, because people think robot is just robot. But if you tell the Green Bay Packers, their stadiums in Texas and not Wisconsin. Oh yeah, they are located in Texas and
Yep.
not in Wisconsin. So like it will agree with you where it can be scary, because if you say no, you're wrong, it will start basing its answers off of the responses you give.
Yeah, yeah, you're training it just as, like you said, you train yourself with the skill development and the learning. So
Mhm.
it's all a similar thought. Well, Colton, this has been great. I'll give you the opportunity now to share any final words of wisdom, right, that you think need to be imparted on to be graduates or those that are just trying to find the next step. And this may, for you, draw upon not only your own wisdom, but maybe the inspiration that you've had from others along the way. So what are some parting words for those that really want to know, this is what you would want people to know about how to progress their careers in a positive way?
Always ask questions. It doesn't hurt. It's in college, professional, even if you don't work with the person. And like for me, like there's store managers that are in different industries and stuff like that. I always ask questions like, why are you doing this? Like, how come you're doing that? Like, you can never stop growing. Like, you're like, whatever you learn at school doesn't mean that's the only thing you're going to learn. As I mentioned, like, I kept on progressing, you kept on progressing, with your skill set. So for me, it just always ask questions. Networking is very important. I mentioned the recent layoff that I had because of my networking and stuff like that. Even though I did struggle a little bit finding a job, but because of the networking, I was able to land the job or the company where I wanted to, because of the networking. And like this, my second is always dream, always Because if you stop dreaming, I just feel like I don't know. I know it's kind of weird. I can't think of it, but for me, I always dream big. Just because excuse my language, but I always want to see, what I'm made of. If I want to kick some ass. I always tell people whenever they hand me a project and then like it's very good and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, so you did all this chewing bubblegum and kicking ass, and you were all out of bubblegum, and
Right.
they're yeah, and stuff like that. So like always like strive more, but always keep dreaming. I'm about to say, I mentioned earlier, my role model was Kobe Bryant, and his day of life was Mama mentality, get better each and every day. Athletes, they work on their craft, and as a professional supply chain or whatever, you always got to work on your craft. Just because you're not a professional athlete doesn't mean you can't. But yeah, always keep dreaming big. Then third one sounds, I know you only asked for one or two, but third one, I know it sounds like a homer, but talk to your university or schools and stuff like that. West Liberty has been awesome to me. Anytime I needed to pick someone's brain, pick me up, or just to feel at home, I contacted one of my professors. It is awesome. The relationship that you built at school also translate to later on in life. Unfortunately, Professor Blackwell, he passed away, but I would always pick his brain about like business. AI was one of the things. I'm like, wow, did you see this coming and stuff like that? And like, he's like, no, accounting's going to be there, and which I agree, but it's going to help accounting out
Yeah.
as far as reviewing stuff. But yeah, always dream. The minute you stop dreaming, I don't know, but like,
Let's not figure that out, right? Don't never stop dreaming. All right, awesome. Well, I know you wanted to share some contact information if people wanted to connect with you to ask you questions. So
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I'm always open, available for questions or answers, or or you have entrepreneur idea brainstorming or data. You can contact me, C Sunseri at westliberty.edu. So CSUNSERI at westliberty.edu. Contact me anytime. I will respond. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, there's any questions, football, whatever, or everyday life, just contact me. And I will be happy to, give you a buzz back and stuff like that.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And right, data in football for any
Data
number
and
of reasons, right?
yeah, yeah. And I mentioned that second career that I want is football. I eventually want to coach football, or one of the reasons why I want to become a teacher is to coach football and bring the analytics to them. And so
That's awesome, and it's not going away, right? So everybody that's listening right now, you never expected football mama mentality to be connected to supply chain professionals, but that's what you got today. So
yeah, yeah.
again, thank you, Colton, and everyone. Make sure that you tune in for the next episode of Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris.